drain my battery watching Twilight.
No! I'll fucking kill you! You fucking bastard! I'll fucking kill you! Release me!
Hello, Detective Fitch. I want to play a game.
Woke now? I'm not woke, but you can't say handicapped, you can't say retarded, you gotta say special needs. We're trying to be respected.
No! It's the rules. There will be blood.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Brothers Duel podcast. My name is Max Jasper. I'm here with my brother, Luke Ricella. And today we'll be looking at the 10 Saw movies. A couple weeks ago, Luke and I watched all 10 Saw movies together. You know, each day we watched a different movie. And I first watched the Saw movies back in October of 2023, and I really enjoyed them. I mean, yeah, they're all kind of flawed movies, but they're kind of one long, convoluted soap opera. I really wanted to introduce Luke to the world of that, so I did. And then Luke watched all the movies again by himself in one day.
That's right. I did do that.
That video came out.
It's probably out on YouTube right now, but it's probably going to be out the day before we post this podcast episode. That's my intention.
Yeah, so in that video, Luke kind of will give his more of an in-depth review of what he thinks. But in this episode, it's kind of what I think, because I know a lot about these movies, and I have a deep appreciation for how they're made and kind of the bits and pieces that went into making them. So, yeah, without further ado, are you ready to get into this?
Let's do it.
All right, I'm going to go blow my schnoz, and then we can get into it.
I'll definitely cut that part out of the podcast, though.
Excellent. Yeah, you should. All right, Luke, my schnoz is now blown. What is your number 10?
My number 10 is the 8th installment in the franchise that served as kind of a reboot, sequel type deal, or a requel, as you called it. It is the 2017 film Jigsaw. That's my number 10. But what's your number 10, which we're going to be talking about now?
My number 10 is not Jigsaw. It is Spiral from the Book of Saw.
As I assumed it to be.
Spiral from the Book of Saw, yeah. This one is just stupid. It's what you said about Carver's Curse when we reviewed our short films in episode 2 of the podcast, and it's what I'm saying about Spiral from the Book of Saw.
Yes.
This one is just stupid.
It is a very stupid movie, but I find it so entertaining because of Chris Rock's performance.
Yeah, Chris Rock, he kind of makes the movie watchable. But the thing about Spiral is I really, really wanted to like this one the first time I watched it. And then I was really captivated by the opening of like the 4th of July. I'm like, oh, what's happening? Oh, a guy goes down into the subway tunnels. What's going to happen? But then when I heard the computer-generated voice, hello, Detective Banks, I want to play a game. I'm just like, I don't even think that was his name, but I just was like, I was out of it. I was just like, this is so stupid. It sounds like a kid trying to be emo, or it sounds like Kevin from Home Alone doing the voice recorder thing. So, yeah, it just wasn't, the voice was not good. But I do kind of appreciate about Spiral is that it's the most kind of mainstream Saw movie. It's the most recent one in like the Saw timeline chronologically, but it is the most boring. Somehow this one is just boring. Like, I didn't think there would be a boring Saw movie, but Spiral is that.
Well, it's not boring for me because, I mean, to be honest, I don't really give a shit about the whole plot with the cops that are corrupt and stuff like that. I mean, what keeps this movie constantly going for me is Chris Rock's performance, because you never know what mood he's going to be in, what he's going to say, what is going to come out of his mouth. Don't drain my battery watching Twilight, and et cetera, et
And
cetera.
that's exactly what the movie should have done. It should have focused more on Chris Rock. All right, I'm going to start. Should we call him by his character's name? Okay, let's just call him Chris Rock's character.
Yeah.
What the movie should have done is focus more on Chris Rock's character specifically, rather than like all this corrupt cop shit, because like I didn't give a damn about any of the characters or any of their deaths. I'll just say that now, except for Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson. I liked those two characters, but that's it.
Yeah.
Everyone else I didn't really care about. Like the chief woman, whatever, getting her face burned off. It sucks, but I don't really care about her. Sorry.
Samuel L. Jackson's death in the movie, spoilers, is like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's the last death of the movie.
Yeah, and like him and Chris Rock have a good like father-son.
I wish there was more of that, though.
Yeah.
I wish the movie had more of that, because Samuel L. Jackson, he's kind of, I don't want to say he's maybe he's a supporting
He's
role.
only in like 5 or 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, and he has one really great scene in the apartment with Chris Rock. It's an excellent scene. But then he kind of disappears
And they try to make you think like, oh, is he the killer?
Yeah, exactly.
When it's like, no, he's not. It's obviously the other guy who has just been assigned to be Chris Rock's partner, who then dies off screen. It's obviously him.
Yeah, it was just ridiculous. And about his name is Detective William Emerson, or he goes by Detective William Shank. So we'll call him Detective. What should we call him, Shank or Emerson?
Why does he go by Shank?
I think that's like a pseudonym, because otherwise they're like, oh, Emerson. They'll recognize him as the kid whose father was shot by Zeke's partner.
Oh, okay.
So Detective Shank's backstory about being a Jigsaw copycat is very predictable. I remember when we first watched this movie together, Luke. You after they said that his character was dead, you're like, oh, it's him. I know it's him. And I was just like, oh, okay, yeah, you got it right away. But again, what I love about this movie is the ending. I think all the endings of the Saw movies are good. I love the ending for Spiral. I think
it's a cool ending, but it's never going to get paid off.
No, not at all. It's sad because Spiral is probably going to be a one and done type deal. I think the best part about Spiral is Chris Rock's character. I wish it focused more on his character rather than the whole.
It's not his character; it's his performance.
His performance, yeah.
It is one of the both best and worst performances I've ever seen in a movie. It's so uniquely Chris Rock that it's a spectacle the whole way through.
It certainly is.
It's why it's not my number 10, and it's why my number 10 is Jigsaw, which I'm sure we'll get to.
Yeah, very soon. So what is your number 9?
My number 9 is not Spiral, but it's Saw 3. What's your number 9?
Also Saw 3. So we can actually chat about here. So what don't you like about Saw 3, Luke?
I didn't really write down that much stuff in my notes here, but I did write down one name. Slow ass motherfucking Jeff. He ruins the entire movie. And he not only kills who's kind of the main character of the movie, that being the Jigsaw accomplice Amanda, but he also kills the best character in the franchise, John Kramer. And it's just like, why is it this guy he's been horrible the whole movie, and then he just shows up and he kills basically the two main bad guys, but then it's just like, what the fuck was this movie even about then?
That's what I wrote down. I said Amanda and John getting killed by Jeff is like Princess Leia and Obi-Wan getting killed by Jar Jar Binks. That never should have happened.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how I feel about Saw 3. It's a genuinely disappointing film. Slow ass motherfucking Jeff is terrible. It's so hard to feel sympathy for him when he moves through the traps or through his game so slowly.
Yeah.
Letting the people involved in his son's tragic death die in very brutal ways.
Yeah.
And also the dynamic between John and Amanda. I know it's kind of they kind of touched on it on Saw 2, but I thought they could have done that better in this movie. I thought I wish we could have seen more.
They touch on it more in Saw X.
Yeah, and Saw X.
And well, like the one thing I'll say about Saw 3 that I kind of like is that it feels like the big final spectacle, like in a trilogy. But then, of course, when we get to Saw 4, it's like, oh no, this ain't over. We're just getting started with Hoffman. But
exactly,
yeah, that's a topic for Saw 4, which is probably going to be way further down our lists.
Yeah, and to that point, it really felt like screenwriter Leigh Whannell, who played Adam in the first and third Saw movie, really felt like he was ready to call it quits after Saw 3 and just move on to other things, which is great. But yeah, I think he was just like, all right, we're going to do these 3 movies, then that's going to be it. But then other people took it over afterward.
It's strange because, yeah, he starred in the first one, but he, of course, he wrote the first movie, and then he came back the next year to write the second one. Mm-hmm. And that one ends with, like, a very clear cliffhanger, which he then, he does technically sort of resolve it in Saw 3, but he leaves so many things not answered from Saw 2, which is why I really didn't like Saw 3 when I first watched it. Yeah. Then, of course, these things are answered in Saw 4 when, like, of course, that twist is that it's taking place at the same time as Saw 3, which is a part of the reason that makes Saw 4 so fucking cool. But, yeah, I guess really the only positive things you can say about Saw 3 are that I think the performances from Tobin Bell and Shawnee Smith, who play John Kramer and Amanda, are great. Mm-hmm. They're given 110% in each scene, which it's very clear. It's just the writing and the character of slow ass motherfucking Jeff is just terrible.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It just, they're neat traps, and I loved the story arc about Amanda making her traps unwinnable, and how we kind of see, like, the unwinnable traps with Adam, Allison Carey, and Troy. But aside from that, that was really the only thing that I thought was that was interesting about Saw 3. I guess another fun fact about Saw 3 is that there is a deleted scene in Saw 3 that they cut of Amanda Young killing Detective Matthews. Like after he escapes the bathroom. So the deleted scene is Amanda beats him to death.
Oh.
And that's why John Kramer's like, do you know what happened to Detective Matthews? You left him for dead.
Yeah.
But then they cut that scene because they wanted to bring him back.
Yeah.
Johnny Wahlberg back for Saw 4. So
something else that I noticed when I rewatched Saw 3, when I spent an entire day watching all the movies, was that Hoffman, he makes his first appearance in one brief scene in the beginning. I'm like, oh, there he is. Yeah. But then he doesn't show up for the rest of the movie. But of course, he's a huge part of Saw 4. Yeah. But yeah, I just thought that was a cool thing. That was just like, oh, there he is.
Mm-hmm. They're planting seeds, and I like that.
Yeah. Well, it's not at all clear when you first watch it, but of course when you rewatch it, it's like, okay, he's involved.
Yeah, it's crazy. That guy who has a minor role in Saw 3 later becomes the main character.
And it's quite literally a minor role because he's literally just in one scene, and then.
But he says something kind of sus in the scene, though.
He does, yeah.
He's like,
I can't remember what it is, but
you just had to yank all the singles out. He said something kind of sus, though.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's both of our number 9s now. Luke, what is your number 8?
My number 8 was your number 10, which is Spiral from the Book of Saw.
Excellent, because my number 8 was your number 10, which was Jigsaw.
Jigsaw. Okay.
So Jigsaw. Jigsaw is a film written to deceive the audience of something completely unimaginable.
That's why I hate it, to be honest.
Which is John Kramer coming back from the dead and starting the games up again.
Yeah.
The cop plot, in each of all the Saw movies, there's a cop plot and like a trapper like game plot. The cop plot was a bit more interesting in Jigsaw than Spiral, thanks to Eleanor Bonneville, like a Jigsaw super fan who recreates the traps and stuff just as a hobby. I thought that was interesting.
It feels a bit more like sobered down and more, I guess, realistic in Jigsaw than it does in Spiral. So it just makes it a bit easier to be like, oh, okay, I can kind of get behind these characters who are like cops, but also some of them are forensic examiners, scientists, or whatever.
Examiners, yeah.
And that's the most interesting part of the movie, but in my opinion, the worst part of Jigsaw is just the traps and how it's every contestant who's in the traps in this one. In my opinion, there's nothing likable about them at all, and I just hate watching those parts of the movie. But it's a Saw movie. You gotta have your death traps and shit, but it's just such a freaking slog each time we have to watch it.
I'm gonna have to agree with you there. Yeah, the trap plot is just a slog to watch through. It's just not fun. None of the characters you really want to root for, and the trap plot taking place 10 years before the main events of the movie is just stupid. In fact, the entire trap plot was just stupid. There's no reason why John Kramer should have had advanced technology in his first game. I guess the flat screen TVs or whatever, that's just another way that the film deceives the audience.
Yeah.
And also, in terms of the traps, there are just some really bad digital special effects that just don't look realistic at all. And that really stinks for the Saw franchise because that's a franchise known for really going ham with the practical effects.
Yeah, but this movie ends with a guy, he gets his face lasered to death. And you see his face and head melt off, and I'm just like, okay, that's CGI.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I mean, so it's not the worst CGI ever, but it's so noticeable.
The more noticeable one I was talking about was when Ryan gets his leg cut off when he pulls.
Oh, right.
And it falls into a couple pieces, and I'm like, bro, you're joking.
That's right.
But it was really nice to see John Kramer back in the flesh, even if he does look much older than he did when he was killed in Saw 3.
I mean, we'll talk about that when we get to Saw X, how much older this guy looks.
Yeah, and Logan Nelson, the medical examiner, being the true Jigsaw successor was a pretty solid twist overall, because when the first time I watched that movie, I did not think it was him at all, which looking back on it now, it's so obviously him. He's kind of the one manipulating the whole thing.
Yeah.
Upon a second watch of the movie. But first time I watched it, I was convinced it was either Halloran or Eleanor. But it's just the thing about Logan Nelson's involvement is that it just doesn't fit in line with the previous installments of the franchise. Like, he doesn't fit in anywhere. He kind of just like, oh, another guy, but it doesn't really matter because he's probably, I hate to say it, but probably never going to come back.
Yeah.
And I Speak for the Dead maybe wasn't the best choice of words because Logan kills Detective Halloran, which wouldn't be what John Kramer would want. And even Detective Halloran even says, John Kramer gave people a chance to win the games, and then he tries swatting at Logan, but...
He's like, you fucker, you motherfucker.
Yeah,
After he swats at him, yeah, it's so
he's
funny.
like, John Kramer gave people a choice in their games, and then Logan Nelson, he's like, you have a choice, scream or don't. So Logan Nelson, the whole Jigsaw philosophy is he doesn't kill people, he like puts them through tests to see if they're rehabilitated. But Logan Nelson is just... like the other Jigsaw successors, he's just killing people. He just kills Detective Halloran for the sake of killing him. Because he's pissed off. Because Detective Halloran is responsible for the death of, or indirectly responsible for the death of Logan's wife.
Yeah, I mean, we probably shouldn't talk about this here because, of course, we're just ranking all the movies. But John Kramer, his philosophy for like his Jigsaw stuff, it's very flawed, and it really only works if he's the one in complete control of the situation for the most part. But then of course when we get to stuff like in Saw 3D, like with the whole stuff with the character Bobby Dagan and stuff like that, it's just rigged for him to lose. And they they do touch on that in Saw 3 about how Amanda was not making her traps winnable, but it's a very flawed system that really only John Kramer can work out, and that's of course like shown in Saw X about like how for the most part his traps are like, I mean, they're brutal, but they are winnable if you're determined enough to do it, right?
Exactly.
But so yeah, that's your number 8, Jigsaw.
Yeah. What is your number 7?
My number 7 is probably a controversial one because I just quite literally decided, you know what, I'm gonna have this be my number 7 because it's not a Saw movie I probably am going to want to watch again, and that is Saw 2. That's my number 7.
Saw 2. My number 7 is Saw X.
Really?
Saw X, yeah. Here's my problem with Saw X. It's just an unnecessary addition to the franchise.
Well, I mean, they do reference it, I believe, in Saw 6.
Yeah,
because,
with the healthcare stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just, to me, it's just an unnecessary addition to the franchise. And the main thing is, it suffers from the prequel problem. For those who don't know, Saw X takes place in between the events of Saw 1 and Saw 2. So Saw X suffers from the prequel problem because we know who lives and we know who dies. When John Kramer's put in that trap with the blood on his face, when I saw that in theaters for the first time, I didn't think for a moment, oh, John Kramer's dying because he lives till Saw 3.
Well, the part that makes that one interesting is that...
Carlos?
Yeah.
The kid.
Yeah, it was like, okay, is he going to survive somehow? And he does, and like... That's what makes that scene good for me, at least.
And this is just a me thing, but I just don't really find John and Amanda's relationship very interesting. And I think, like, that might be because it's like, oh, John Kramer's kind of like this older father figure, and Amanda Young is like this junkie. And I think Kramer's relationship with Detective Hoffman is so much more interesting because Hoffman was actually like a copycat who did it just to get revenge, and then he kind of was blackmailed into like following John Kramer, whereas Amanda was like, John Kramer recruited Amanda right when she finished her test, and she kind of like accepted him. And I don't know, I find Hoffman's story to be better.
Well, yeah, like I mean, with Hoffman's stuff, it's like, yeah, he's forced into it, but then it's not really explained. But like the more he does it, it's just very clear to the audience that, oh, he enjoys doing this, and that's kind of what makes him a very fascinating character. Whereas like Amanda, she's very much just motivated by like her own like sort of junkie greed personality type deal. She shows a lot of sympathy for, I can't remember her character's name in Saw X, but she was the younger girl.
Oh, the one who like
Gabriella,
yeah.
She shows a lot of sympathy for her because she's established to be a junkie herself, and like, of course,
yeah,
Amanda, she can relate to that. But then of course in Saw 2, she's the one who's kind of guiding the teenage character, Daniel Matthews, through the trap so like he can survive it. So she's definitely motivated by her own self-interest above all. Whereas like Hoffman, like he kind of he has more of a perspective that's similar to John Kramer, but he does kind of take it too far, like in the later movies with all these traps he does and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Another thing I don't like about Saw X is that Tobin Bell and Shawnee Smith, this is not their fault, but
They look really old.
Yeah, they don't look like they're playing the ages they're supposed to be playing. In fact, Shawnee Smith was 53 during the time of filming Saw X, which is how old John Kramer is supposed to be during the events of that film.
That's crazy.
But
Well, I mean, it doesn't affect their performances in it.
No,
like,
no.
like I mean, Tobin Bell, he's still doing a great job in Saw X, but he is so obviously 20 years older than he was in Saw 2 and 3.
Exactly. I appreciated the new kind of story and sympathetic look on John Kramer. I thought the first time I watched Saw X that was interesting, and the second time and then that's when we watched it together, I was kind of bored because it kind of dragged along.
Yeah, I mean, he's without a doubt the protagonist of this movie, and he's not at all that in all the previous ones. He's always like the antagonist, or like he's like sort of
overarching antagonist.
Yeah.
Like he's the best part of the film is the mid-credit scene where Detective Hoffman shows up. It's an amazing cameo, and I wish we got to see more of.
I call that epic bad luck.
Exactly. But yeah, like aside from that though, it's just a bit of a slog to watch in comparison with the rest of the films in the series, thanks to its near 2-hour runtime. I'm wondering, when you watch Saw X, because when you watched all 10 Saw movies in a day, Saw X was the second one you watched because you were doing chronological order, right?
Yes.
So with Saw X, was that like a slog to watch compared to the other ones, or no?
No, because I was so early into that day. Like, I believe I had just gotten out of the shower after I spent the first 2 hours in the fitness center watching Saw 1. So I was like, okay, I'm going to relax and watch Saw X. And I'm like, okay, this is a pretty good Saw movie. I mean, it feels a lot like a Breaking Bad episode, if that makes sense. But it looks more like an A24 film that's kind of just about John Kramer, as opposed to being like a huge evolution to the Saw storyline. Like, it's like, no, here's just a little nice adventure that happened. Or, yeah. So that was your number 7?
Correct, yes. And now we're heading on to number 6. What is your number 6?
My number 6 is Saw 3D, or Saw 7, The Final Chapter.
That is also my number 6.
Excellent.
So the first thing I wrote down was, we have not experienced this movie in its proper format. The 2 or 3 times that I've watched Saw 3D, I've watched it just normally, not in 3D. We need to watch this movie in 3D at some point, because it's going to be fucking hilarious.
Well, I mean, how could we do that, though?
I don't know, rent out a theater or something. I don't know. Well, it's a dream.
Yeah.
If someone can make that happen, let us know. But yeah, when Luke and I watched all 10 Saw movies together, we'd watch one, each day and then kind of talk about it. And I kept telling Luke, oh, these Saw movies, they get fucking crazy. And whenever I said that, I was of course referring to Saw 3D. Because the 2 protagonists of Saw 3D, which are characters named Bobby Dagan, who's a fake Jigsaw survivor who wrote a book about surviving a trap that he wasn't even in, and Matt Gibson, who is like the lead cop in the movie, because all the other ones have been killed, and so
They've been killed by Hoffman.
They've been killed by Hoffman, yeah. So he's the one. He's kind of like the lead on it. They're just both, Bobby Dagan and Matt Gibson are just fucking idiots.
Yeah.
They're dumb. And I mean, it's very entertaining seeing how dumb they are, but
It's not really clear who's the main character of Saw 3D, because there's really like just 3 storylines going on. Like there's the stuff with Bobby Dagan, where like he's a fake survivor, he gets put into new traps, and then there's Matt Gibson, who's trying to protect John Kramer's wife Jill Tuck from Hoffman, and then there's Detective Hoffman, who's trying to kill Jill Tuck, but then again he's also put Bobby Dagan in this trap that it's not like, I mean, that doesn't really overlap with him, but it's just, there's a lot going on in Saw 3D, which is pretty crazy because it's only like 90 minutes.
yeah, it's crazy. But Mark Hoffman is an absolute menace in this film. Absolute menace. Every single scene he's in is amazing. I love it a lot. It was also great to see my boy Dr. Lawrence Gordon return.
Yeah.
And the twist that it was him at the end, kind of being the final Jigsaw successor.
Yeah.
Was excellent. I was like, oh, this is an amazing twist.
It's a very satisfying end to the original 7.
I would agree 100% because it kind of ties up all the loose ends.
Yeah.
Bobby Dagen's game is the most torture porny of the entire saga.
It's completely unfair.
It was very difficult for him to win, yeah, because he has to go through seven traps. First trap is an easy one. He just has to like swing out of this cage.
It's an easy one, yeah.
I mean, I like when we watched it, I'm like, oh, I can survive.
Well,
that
like,
easy.
yeah, like, I mean, Bobby Dagen, he seems like a pretty fit guy because, of course, like, we see him with his shirt off at some point, and he's like, okay, you know, he's pretty athletic.
So he passes that one, but then the next one he has to pull a key out of his assistant's, or like his assistant's, like, that's
throat,
been lodged in his assistant's stomach. It's
very painful to watch.
Yeah. So he tries, but she can't scream or else Spikes will like impale her neck.
So yeah, she's experiencing the most painful moment of her entire life, and then Bobby Dagen's like, "Shut the fuck up, you fucking bitch! Shut up!"
So
it's so painful to watch.
It is painful to watch, and then she of course dies, and then the next one, Bobby has to go to. He has to help out another person he works with who is kind of under the same thing, where Bobby has to like squat or something, like lift up some weights.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Get stabbed in the side. Otherwise, this woman's eyes and mouth will be impaled.
I completely forgot about that one.
And
he of course fails that.
Of course fails that one miserably. And then he has best friend.
Yeah, and that one's the funniest to watch
because his best friend's blindfolded and he's like climbing over. He has to like go through like this course that's like of wooden boards.
Yeah.
And he has to walk across them. Otherwise, if he makes one wrong move, he falls. And so Bobby Dagen has to also walk across while verbally guiding him, while trying to get a key to unlock him. But there's like a minute time, or a 3-minute timer or something like that.
Yeah.
And so time's about to run out to Bobby Dagen. He has to toss his friend, it's Kale, that's his name. Toss Kale the key, but Kale's blindfolded, so he can't see. So Bobby's like, Kale, cup your hands in your chest, hands in your chest. So
Shuffle closer to me.
Shuffle 2 steps to your left. But yeah, so he's like, put your hands, cup your hands on your chest. So Bobby tosses the key, but the key hits Kale in the chest and falls to the ground.
What's so funny about
and then Kale is hung.
Is that Kale is just freaking out the whole time. He's not at all. He is like in full panic mode.
Yeah.
Like his life is on the line here, but he's just like, Bobby, what do I do? It's just like, oh, bro.
Yeah, so Bobby, of course, fails that one. And then he passes another one, which is the one where he has to yank out his like back teeth.
Yeah.
To get a code that leads him into the door where his wife is, who's on her hands and knees, chained by the neck, as she's over some sort of, I don't know, as she's just like on this platform. And Bobby's final test is he has to complete the game. Like he has to go through the trap that he said he went through in his fake book. Mm-hmm. And obviously Bobby fails that. His wife is burned alive.
She's burned alive in a spaceship.
I think there's something else. It's called something else. I can't remember.
It is. It looks like that one rocket ship from the beginning of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It reminded me of that, but like she is burned alive in a very gruesome way, and Bobby Dagen, he just got like 2 of his boobs ripped out from like the trap, and he's just helpless on the ground, and we get nothing from him after this. Like he survives this whole thing and gets no payoff at all.
Well, the thing is, the game was meant for him to survive.
Well, Max, how did a Bobby Dagen get on John Kramer's radar? Can you explain the scene that happens there?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the best. It's a flashback scene in the movie. So pretty much, Bobby Dagen, he wrote this book called Survive My Story of Overcoming Jigsaw, even though he wasn't a real Jigsaw survivor. And so then John Kramer, Jigsaw himself, goes to one of his book signings wearing a hoodie and a backwards cap, and he's like, he pretty much throws it, and he pretty much tells Bobby, hey, I know you're lying, but Bobby's like, I don't know what you're talking about, and Kale's like, yeah, move along, buddy.
It's just a very important scene, but Tobin Bell he looks like that one meme of Steve Buscemi where like he's like in high school. He's like, "Hello, fellow classmates."
How do you do, fellow kids?
Yeah, that. It's just like John Kramer should not be wearing that fit.
It was a very interesting choice.
It's so funny, though.
I'm very curious of why he was wearing that.
Yeah.
And another thing I don't like about Saw 3D is, they did this in 3D, so there's pink blood and it just doesn't look as realistic as the other ones.
Pink blood?
You not notice the pink blood in Saw 3D? Like when Bobby Dagan is like, like with the, the blood.
I don't remember that.
Blood
but
is pink. Look at it.
Well, I mean, the last time I watched Saw 3D was when I watched all the movies in one day, so I probably can't remember that detail.
But overall, I have very mixed feelings about Saw 3D because it has some really awesome moments in it, but also some really, really terrible ones.
Yeah.
But as, the final chapter, it resolves all the loose ends very well, and it was clearly made with the intent for it to be the last one, which I appreciate. So that's why it's my number 6.
Yeah, that's why it's my number 6 as well.
All right, Luke, what is your number 5?
My number 5 is Saw 6.
Saw 6. My number 5 is Saw 5.
Oh, okay.
So let's talk Saw 5. So
That's my number 4. I'll say that.
Okay.
Now.
Saw 5 was one of my favorite movies in the franchise during my first watch of the series. I loved Saw 5. I was like, oh, Saw 5 is so good. But then when you and I rewatched it together, I was like, it's
Same
fine.
with me. That's exactly how I felt about it, too.
Like, the biggest issue with Saw 5, in my opinion, is that the game or trap plot is uninteresting and doesn't end up meaning anything until Special Agent Erickson tracks down the location of it.
Yeah.
Because the 5 people in the game, we don't really care. They haven't been in the series before. The story is they covered up like a fire or something. I can't even remember what it was. Something stupid. But like, we don't care about those characters at all. They're not really relevant to the story. I mean, it's nice to see one. I think we see the guy come back in Saw 3D for like a scene in like the game, like the scene where Lawrence Gordon's clapping. But
the guy and the girl who survivor there.
Yeah, but like that's really.
I mean, it kind of fits in line with John Kramer's thing about how he's putting people into these traps. He's putting people who have done bad things, and he hopes that the ones who survive like will change, and they certainly do. I'm pretty sure the 2 people who do, like, they both realize, oh shit, we did something really bad, and that's kind of why. That's
They
exactly
both are kind
why.
of like, yeah, we deserve to be here.
Yeah, and so that's kind of why I'm a bit more accepting of that plot line, because they acknowledge that why they're here, and it feels kind of like some growth from them.
Absolutely, absolutely. And another thing I liked about the movie was the Hoffman versus Strom rivalry. That was a highlight for me.
Absolutely, it's a
But I wish there were just more scenes with the 2 together. That was my thing.
Well, yeah, like I mean, Strom, he's really just piecing together how Hoffman could be the guy behind it all, right?
Yeah, the final accomplice.
Yeah.
Or like yeah. And the ending was absolutely epic.
It's the best ending of all the Saw movies, hands down.
And it for me, it ensures that, like, oh, Detective Hoffman, he was Jigsaw's true successor. He doesn't play games. I'm like, okay, because I did not root for it. It was the first time I watched Saw 5. I didn't really care about Detective Hoffman. I was rooting for Strom.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, Strom's got Hoffman. That's awesome. But then when the wall started closing in on Strom, I was like, oh, Hoffman. That's smart.
Well, yeah, I mean, the way Saw 4 ends was like, okay, I'm pretty interested. I'm pretty interested to see what they do with this guy Hoffman. And then when Saw 5 ends, it's like, oh shit, this guy's a fucking, he's a menace.
He is a menace indeed. And also, something I liked about Saw 5 was it was really cool to see how Hoffman became acquainted with Jigsaw and kind of his backstory with John Kramer. I thought that was really interesting. But in comparison to the other 4 films on the list, it feels kind of like a chore to come back to because I remember liking it better.
Yeah.
So I guess in comparison to my top 4 that I have on this list, Saw 5 feels like the biggest chore to come back to because I just remember it being better and I just remember it being more exciting. But other than that, though, it's a pretty solid film.
Yeah.
All things considered, even though it does not deserve its, 15% on Rotten Tomatoes?
That's totally unfair. Okay, so that means your number 4 is Saw 6.
That is correct.
And that was my number 5.
Yeah. So Saw 6. I love the healthcare storyline. Love it. And how it covers real-world struggles of everyday people. William Easton is a much better trapper game participant and protagonist because we actually learn enough about his character to want to root for him. But we kind of see through his ways through the impactful flashbacks of him denying John Kramer healthcare coverage. But as a character, William Easton he had a big impact on the series, rejecting John's request for coverage because then that leads into the events of Saw X and I guess the rest of it, the movies that followed that. I mean,
Yeah.
So William Easton indirectly kind of is responsible for some of the games. Something else that's interesting about Saw 6 is Amanda comes back in this one via flashbacks that aren't super necessary.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because a few of them have Tobin Bell in that horrific bald cap. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of neat to see John Kramer, Hoffman, and then, of course, Amanda, like, in the same scene together. Because they're kind of like... They're pretty much like the Holy Trinity, like, of the Saw traps, if that makes sense. Yeah, of course, there's the stuff with Lawrence Gordon in the shadows, and I suppose you could say the same for Logan Nelson, but, like, he doesn't really count for this era because he just gets placed in there later, but...
Yeah, Logan Nelson definitely doesn't count. Yeah, that's what I wrote down as well. The Hoffman and Amanda flashback was my favorite flashback of the whole film. Mm-hmm. Hoffman's rampage at the FBI headquarters
it's crazy.
It's such a tense and incredibly well done scene because it further emphasizes how resourceful Hoffman is. Like, you know,
he's just so fucking chill, but then, like, he starts splashing coffee in faces. He's shooting people. He's stabbing people.
He burns the whole thing down. It's just like, holy shit. And,
yeah.
And then Hoffman escaping the reverse bear trap at the end is just so fucking badass.
Yeah, I mean...
And I already didn't like Jill Tuck to begin with, so seeing her plan just foil was a good feeling when I first watched Saw 6.
Yeah, and then she gets completely... Like her plan absolutely backfires in Saw 3D, but of course that kind of comes back to bite Hoffman in the ass with Lawrence Gordon. He locks him in the bathroom. He throws away the hacksaw, but of course that's all stuff in Saw 3D we could have talked about. But
another thing I like about Saw 6 that I don't have written down here is the story with Tara and Brent. So that's the
Roderick.
Roderick, yeah.
Yeah.
I like how it kind of was Tara's game the whole time. Tara deciding whether or not she wants to kill William Easton and how...
But Roderick can.
Roderick does, yeah.
Well, I mean, here's something I should mention. I guess my first interpretation of Saw 6 was that Tara and Brent, I thought they were the family of William Easton. Mm-hmm. But then, of course... that comes with the twist that, no, they're actually the family of the character played by George Newbern.
Harold Abbott.
Yeah, who is denied healthcare coverage by William Easton at the start of the movie. And fun fact about George Newbern, he's actually, he was a voice of Superman in some of the animated DC projects. So that's what I knew him from. But, so, you know... that was a nice twist that, like, okay, Roderick and his mom, they're not the family of the guy in the traps. They actually hate the guy. Mm-hmm. And so then they kill him, which is kind of neat because it's like, okay.
Yeah, him being related to Pamela Jenkins, the reporter, was a very good twist.
Yeah.
But I might be wrong here. I hope I'm wrong, but you watched the movie more recently than me. When William Easton's on the phone in the beginning of the movie with Pamela, does he call her babe, or what did I just hear that?
I mean, he's talking in a way that it could be very easily interpreted that, like, he's talking to his wife or his mistress or something like that. But I guess him and his sister are just really close.
So, but he does say babe. He's like, hey, babe.
I don't think he does.
Okay, maybe
but
I'm just all right.
I can't remember, but he's definitely talking in a tone that makes me think, okay, maybe he's talking to his wife, his mistress, his girlfriend, something like that, or. I don't know.
No.
I mean, it's not how a brother and sister would probably talk to each other in real life, but I kind of think that was just intentional misdirection to make you think that, okay, his family is Tara and Brent, but of course that's where the twist comes in.
Exactly.
Okay, so now on to, is this number 3?
Yes, my number 3. What is your number 3?
My number 3 is Saw 4.
Saw 4. My number 3 is Saw 2.
Yeah, as I figured.
So Saw 2. I think Saw 2 is an excellent follow-up to the first Saw. It adds a lot of new things, but kind of gives us a lot of the same old things.
Saw 2 is, I believe, my number 7. I don't really like Saw 2.
Why not?
I think because of the later movies and how the character played by Donnie Wahlberg, he gets no good payoff. Same with kind of like the main character in The Traps, and that is his son, Daniel. He doesn't show up again in the movies. He's barely mentioned, stuff like that. But like, what really like saves Saw 2 from being like a disaster to me is that if I look at it through the lens that it's not a film about Donnie Wahlberg's character or his son, but it's about Amanda and like how that twist comes in, that okay, she's not another victim here. She's like, I mean, she is an accomplice to John Kramer, and of course that's the big twist of the movie. So that's what kind of saves Saw 2 for me for being like terrible, but it's just not a Saw movie that I feel the need to return to, and it's not one of my favorites.
Yeah. So what I loved about Saw 2 is Detective Eric Matthews. I think he's a charismatic yet very flawed protagonist thanks to his strained relationship with his son Daniel. I think right away the filmmakers made us care about Detective Matthews, even though he's kind
It's
of
a good dilemma, yeah.
even though he's kind of a hard ass. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the Nerf Gas House game is one of the more entertaining games in the franchise, in my opinion. As I could really feel the tension building minute by minute, as like, you know, because they say like John Kramer's like, oh, if in 2 hours you'll be poisoned or whatever, but the door will open in 3 hours. You know.
Yeah.
But there are a few unnecessary characters in the Nerve Gas House game, like Addison and Laura. Addison is like the one, like the prostitute woman who she shows up in Saw 4. I'm pretty sure in the flashback, but she's the one who gets her arms caught in like one of the like a razor wire trap.
Yeah.
Or not razor wire, like the
glass or whatever. Yeah.
The razor trap. And then
it's a very painful
Laura's
trap.
the one who like dies from the poisoning.
Yeah.
I don't really know why she was in the trap or what her game was.
It's to show that the poison can actually kill you.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And they also never explain why Abby helps Jigsaw and Amanda kidnap everybody, because then he has to.
Well, he shows up in Saw 3 or 4, right?
He's in the clinic, yeah, but like, why Abby specifically?
Well, no. In Saw 4, like we see a flashback of John Kramer. He's thinking about his wife Jill Tuck, and then Abby's just walking around in the background. I'm just like, what?
Yeah. So they never explain why Abby helps them, because I thought Abby would be like a Zepp character when I first watched Saw 2. I'm like, oh, he's helping them and he's kind of doing what Zepp did. But then Abby's also in the game, so I'm like,
but then he gets burned alive.
Yeah, so I'm like, did he have to why did he have to kidnap all these people, especially if John Kramer had Hoffman helping him out, and Hoffman could have easily done it at that time. I don't know.
But the worst character in this, and it's kind of by design, is the stronger character whose name I think is Xavier.
Yeah, played by Frankie G.
Yeah, who is like, fuck y'all. I gotta fucking survive this. I'm gonna kill all y'all. Find that fucking code. I'm gonna just do all this fucking bullshit. And it's just like, fuck this guy.
Yeah. Another thing I really loved about Saw 2 is the incredible chemistry between Donnie Wahlberg and Tobin Bell. I think their scenes together are excellent.
It's very similar to kind of like the Hannibal Lecter dynamic, because of course John Kramer, he's pretty sick in this movie. Like the cancer has forced him to be in a chair the whole movie. But like Donnie Wahlberg, he doesn't give a fuck. He still breaks his fingers, beats the crap out of him,
throws him around like a rag doll. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But something I think that's weaker in Saw 2 is the twist ending. The twist ending isn't one of the strongest, but the film ending on Jigsaw beat up and bloody in the car smiling is a perfect way to end the movie, because he got away. Yeah. He got away even though he had like a million cops on him, which is just insane work. But yeah. Now that moves cut this.
That moves on to number 2.
Yes, Luke, what is your number 2?
My number 2 is, I believe, your number 8?
7, Saw X.
Yeah, Saw X is my number 2. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is Saw 1.
Okay.
Saw 1 again, this should probably be my number one.
Saw,
But if this is personal favorites, this is number 2.
Saw 1 is my number 1. I'll say that now.
Okay. Saw 1 is the de facto number 1. It's a really excellent low-budget horror with excellent characters, an excellent and intriguing premise, and a great story. Adam and Lawrence are great protagonists because both are very different, and that difference is why one of them survives and one doesn't.
They're very well written and characterized to the point where, like, okay, you understand who they both are, and then you get to see them kind of like, I mean, they start off not really knowing who they are, but by the end of it, like they're clutching each other, and like they kind of like have built like a sort of father son trust in a way, like Lee Winnell's character, he kind of just trusts in the fact that Cary Elwes, he's going to go and get help, even though he just had to like saw his fucking foot off, right? And he just shot Lee Winnell like in the shoulder. He's like, I'm gonna get help, and it's gonna be okay, right? And like you kind of believe that because they spent so much time together, right? And it's like, okay, it kind of reminded me of the end of the movie Reservoir Dogs, like where Tim Roth, he tells Harvey Keitel's character, I'm a cop, but then, like, I mean, they've spent the whole movie, like, having such a strong bond together that it's like, oh, damn, like, this cuts deeper way more than I expected, which is, it's part of what makes Saw 1 so good, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. What I love about the first Saw is the intriguing use of flashbacks that gives the audience kind of the full picture. The twist ending is shocking to first-time viewers, and it's just an excellent twist. Like, I love twist endings. And I guess this Saw, and I guess all the other subsequent movies, they just, I'm going to say this now, they revolutionized the horror industry as we know it.
Yeah.
In the horror genre.
Yeah, I mean, it came out in 2004, right?
Yeah,
And
so this was like a big impact on horror.
it came out at the time, like, when they were doing, like, the Scream movies, scary movies. Not a lot of stuff was very, I guess, for lack of a better term, original at the time. That, like, yeah, it came out at the time with, like, Freddy versus Jason, just a bunch of weird horror type shit. And then, of course, it comes out and starts a whole new franchise. But then, of course, it serves as kind of like a rebirth of, like, the indie horror genre.
Yeah, and even though this is kind of like the first Saw was an indie with a low budget, I think the gore is pretty good.
Yeah.
But there's a horrible car chase scene between Zepp and
It's
Tap.
hilarious, Max.
That's just horrible.
It's so funny to watch. I mean, it's part of the charm of the first Saw movie because every fucking set looks so fucking shitty. But that's kind of I'm sure that was by design because most of the movie takes place like in a bathroom, and that's a great set. But then, like, when we're in the doctor's office of Dr. Lawrence Gordon, it's so obviously a tiny set that they built in like a studio somewhere, and it's like, okay, what's going on? But then, of course, like when Dr. Gordon, he's leaving the hospital, he's going to his car in the parking lot. The parking lot looks like it takes place in Gotham City. It looks so fucking sketchy.
Yeah,
and
it is a
shitty.
really weird parking lot that shows. It's like a parking garage or ramp. I don't even know what it was.
But that's part of the atmosphere. That like they never explain what city pretty much all the Saw movies take place in, and like it's kind of like a heightened reality, kind of like how Gotham City is in Batman.
Absolutely. But yeah, that's all I have for the first Saw. I mean, I also wrote down wish Tap could have survived this one, but
Well, I mean, like, he's played by an actor named Danny Glover, and he gives the wildest performance in the movie.
Yeah.
And it's similar to Chris Rock's performance in Spiral, which, fun fact about Spiral, something that I learned a few days after I rewatched Spiral, was that one of the original ideas was to have Chris Rock's character be like the son of Danny Glover's character from the first Saw movie. But then I'm sure Chris Rock was like, yeah, I don't want to do that shit. I want Samuel Jackson to be my dad. And I suppose that kind of worked out because, like, I mean, they're the best part of Spiral, which is, that's something that I just thought was interesting to mention. But that means your number one is a Saw 4, which was my number 3.
Yes, Saw 4. That is my number one. That's my personal favorite. And this wasn't when I first made this list. Saw 1 was my number one, but now after rewatching the movies again, Saw 4 is my number one, and actually it was like number 6 on my original list. So it really rise, and that's because Saw 4 is a complete rebound from Saw 3.
Oh yeah,
Complete rebound. And I think Officer Daniel Rigg is a perfect participant for the game because he's been established in the last few movies. We know who he is, and there's an excellent use of flashbacks in this one because we see John Kramer's unborn son get killed in the flashbacks, and just really powerful. And something that I didn't really like, not say I didn't like this, but something I think could have made the movie stronger was the abusive principal kind of flashback, where Daniel Rigg and Detective Hoffman are investigating a principal of a school who's pretty obviously abusing one of his students, or maybe that's his daughter. I think it's his daughter, right?
Something like that.
But the girl, the daughter character is like, he's not doing it, so he's not saying anything, and so the guy's like, oh, you got nothing on me, and taps Daniel Rigg on the shoulder or something, and then Daniel Rigg freaks out at him and like punches him in the face, and then Hoffman's like, no, he attacked Rigg, and so
Hoffman covers for Rigg.
Hoffman covers for him, yeah. So the only thing that I think that could have made this scene a bit better was if they swapped out Detective Hoffman for Detective Matthews. And I'm saying that because Daniel Rigg's the whole reason why he's not like following the trap game is to save Detective Matthews and Hoffman too, but mostly Matthews because Matthews has been missing for 6 months at this point, right? So I think a flashback with Eric Matthews would have just made it stronger, in my opinion.
Yeah, but then again, you have Saw 2, which kind of shows that okay, Matthews and Rigg are tight because like the scene where Matthews he starts beating the crap out of John Kramer, Rigg blocks the lady cop. He's like, we tried it your way. Now we're doing it his way.
That was Rigg's way. That was Rigg's suggestion to like do it.
Yeah.
So another thing Saw 4 introduces to the series is the FBI. So that's Special Agent Strom and Perez.
Yeah.
And I thought that they were pretty interesting characters. And Strom interrogating Jill Tuck very aggressively while she sits there like...
Do you get that, Jill?
calmly is just super funny to me. And speaking of, the random classroom trap that's set off by one of the forensic people that kills a photographer is just really random.
Yeah.
But I kind of love it for how random it is. It's like, whoa, okay.
I mean, if Jigsaw was real, he'd probably set up some traps that might accidentally kill someone. So it's just kind of like a nice little touch. Like, okay.
I love that. I was just like, oh,
like John Kramer's philosophy is totally flawed, as we've said. So, maybe, there'd probably be some civilian casualties.
Yeah.
But like they never addressed that going forward. Like I'm sure she had a family and shit, and they're probably devastated. They're like, "What the fuck happened?" She wasn't in the game though.
Yeah, I just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong
She was
time.
just doing her job.
Another thing I love about Saw 4 is the way the first scene in the film, which is the dissection of John Kramer's corpse, is actually the last scene, is an excellent aspect because, it kind of picks up right where Saw 3 left off, but then it kind of they don't tell we don't know, the audience doesn't know that
Saw 4 is happening with
Saw
3.
4 is happening simultaneously as Saw 3. The twist being that time was on Rigg's side and that Hoffman was the additional accomplice, and the fact that the events of this film take place simultaneously during the events of Saw 3 is just epic, in my opinion. Like when I first watched Saw 4 and I saw Jeff, I'm like, what the hell is Jeff doing here? And then I realized, it takes place at the same time. That's very smart. And I love seeing Jeff get killed by Strom.
Yeah. But Strom's one of the best characters in the series, I think. Yeah. I mean, like, he's really kooky and crazy in this one, but then Saw 5 happens, he gets sobered down, and it's like, oh shit, he's figuring this shit out. And then he has a very cool death, so yeah.
But overall, I think Saw 4 is an excellent transitional film in the franchise that opens the door for new characters like Hoffman, Strom, Tuck, and Perez to take the spotlight, and that's what makes Saw 4 my personal favorite film in the Saw franchise. It's just that, and it's just the most fun we watched all 10 films together. That's the one that I had the most fun with when we watched them all again. I'm like, yeah, Saw 4. This movie was fucking great.
Well, I mean, when I first watched Saw 4, I really hated it.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is this series doing? But then, of course, when we got to the end, where it was like, okay, Hoffman was behind it all, that got me interested to watch Saw 5 and all the other ones, stuff like that. But of course, on rewatch, it's like, okay, like when you have the context of the greater franchise and who the characters are, it shockingly becomes a way better film. Yeah, I mean, Saw 4, it might be one of the most fascinating movies I've ever watched because it was so bad first time I watched it, but then it became actually pretty good when I watched it a second time. And I've never seen a movie like that before, which has done that to me. But, I mean, it's... I don't want to say Saw 4 stands on its own like Saw 1, because that's what makes the first Saw... I mean, that's a part of why I really like the first Saw movie, because I had first watched the first Saw movie probably a year or two ago, and I was like, damn, that's like a 9 out of 10 movie. That's incredible. But then, of course, when I rewatched it twice in the past month or so, the flaws started to show itself, but it was still a good movie. And so, that's why Saw 2004, Saw 1 is my number one Saw movie. But, well, there we have it. That is all 10 Saw movies ranked by Brothers Duel.
That is correct. To conclude this episode, I want to do something a little fun, like a little brainstorming session with you, Luke. The last 5 minutes. If Brothers Duel was in charge of Saw 11, how would we do it?
Well, I guess cynically speaking, I'm pretty sure the plan for Saw 11, which was supposed to come out in like 2025, but was canceled because of the writers' strike or whatever happened. I think the idea with Saw 11 was to do a direct sequel to Saw X that would follow up the events of that film directly, but that's not my main interest in the Saw series. That's probably not yours either, but you've told me off camera before about what you would want to do for Saw 11, and I fully support that idea. So Max, why don't you just take it away and explain it?
Yeah, Saw 11. If I had to make Saw 11, I would it would be kind of like a requel, kind of like the new Scream, or like the Scream 2022 movie, where it's like, it's still the same, there's still the similar characters, but it's not John Kramer. John Kramer is no longer going to be the focus anymore. Yeah, he'll still kind of, his teachings will still be there and whatnot, but my thing is, the Jigsaw Killer would be Dr. Lawrence Gordon, and he would be putting people in traps and tests and games and stuff like that. Because in Saw 3D, Dr. Gordon really just becomes kind of ghostly and kind of like, they never mentioned this in the film, but I think in the Wikipedia synopsis I read, like, Dr. Gordon, like, his wife divorced him because of how weird he became after he got out of the trap.
Yeah, he's a very different character than he is in Saw 1 to 7. Like, he's changed.
Yeah, he's just, like, ghostly almost. Like, he's just, like...
He's like a phantom looming over the events and
yeah.
stuff.
And I think that's why he'd make an excellent Jigsaw Killer. And but my storyline for it would be about the games returning again in the same town or whatever. Or maybe not the same town, but whatever. The games returning again. And then... the police force being kind of like scrambling because people keep popping up, the dead bodies keep popping up, whatever. Because so Gordon's kind of like doing this rapidly, and so then they have to go to like a prison and speak to Hoffman, who's imprisoned, who survived being trapped in the bathroom by Dr. Gordon, but like was found out by the authorities and was in prison. So he's in there, and he kind of has like a Hannibal Lecter kind of role, like kind of in the Silence of the Lambs, where he kind of is kind of like he helps the detective, which could be Zeke Banks. Find out who
that could be cool. Yeah.
Find the game, because Zeke Banks obviously, he's a fun character, and I think it'd be epic if Saw 11 starts off in a trap, and William Emerson is in the trap and like dies. Who is the
Shank?
Shank.
Yeah.
It'd be amazing if like that'd be like, whoa. That would be just like an insane start.
I don't think Chris Rock should like play the main cop character because he's too goofy, but like he could maybe show up like at the end or something like that. Or like have like a cameo.
This series would bring it would be about a lot of new characters, but there would still be like old characters. Like Lawrence Gordon would be the pseudo John Kramer, and I wouldn't kill him off right away like they did with John Kramer and Saw 3. Like I keep Dr. Gordon alive, and I keep it kind of like tell the same kind of soap opera type of story with the films.
Here's what I would do.
And
to add to your idea was the games are back, but they're started by Logan Nelson, but then Lawrence Gordon, he like shows up and he's like, we're doing this my way. And so then they set up this new game, but while it's happening, Logan Nelson and Lawrence Gordon, they're both kind of trying to kill each other. And so like there's that thing going on, but then there's the cops coming after them, and then the trap itself, and then of course they're getting the information from Hoffman, who is like the Hannibal Lecter character, like you said. And I guess as for the ending of this movie, it should probably end with either Logan Nelson or Lawrence Gordon, one of them dying or killing each other, or then, well, yeah, but then Hoffman, he kind of like, he's the one smiling in the end, kind of like Saw 2 ends, where like Hoffman's like, I got one of them. Well, he should probably get Lawrence Gordon killed because he's the one who locks Hoffman in the cell in Saw 3. So that's how I would end Saw 11.
I wouldn't kill Gordon off that early. I would keep him alive. I would.
Or like, you know, he could get arrested or something like that.
But the thing about this potential sequel I guess series that I'm pitching would be that it would take place in present day. So 2025 or 2026, like present day. It wouldn't be like, this is actually took place in 2006 or whatever. I'm not doing that crap. Takes place present day, and it would be like a year, like kind of like how it would be a series of 7 movies, kind of like how the first 7 Saw movies kind of like all kind of follow a storyline, and it kind of would end at the 7th movie.
You can't bring Tobin Bell back physically to play John Kramer, but his voice can still be used.
Absolutely,
his voice is iconic.
His voice is iconic. Yes. So but yeah, that's what I would do if I had to. If I was in charge of rebooting or revitalizing the Saw franchise, which I can speak on behalf of Luke and myself. We both love the Saw franchise and everything that has come of it, both the good and the bad. And if there's ever an opportunity for us to get involved and be in a Saw movie, we're going to say absolutely to that, even if I have to get killed like Bobby Dagan.
You and I should be in a trap like how those 2 guys start up in Saw 7 where like they have to decide whether they should kill each other or save a girl. And that one's so funny because it's very public. And then they're like, fuck this, we're going to let the bitch die. And then they kill her.
Yeah, and then it has nothing to do with the rest of the movie.
Exactly. But I guess they are going to do a Saw 11, and James Wan, who was the director of the first one, I guess is coming back to have creative input in it. But I have no idea what they're going to do with Saw 11. Whether it be they follow up the Saw X like they intended, or if they just completely do something fresh and new. Whatever that may be, if it does come out, Max will probably go see that.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to see that. But yeah, I'm a huge Saw fan. I love the movies, what they do, and
they're great. Well, they're not masterpieces, but they're kind of like trashterpieces in a sense. Like It's so cool to see how they all connect like a jigsaw puzzle, and like how convoluted they are. But like when you really think about the details of stuff, it's kind of held together by cardboard and duct tape, which is, I guess that adds to the charm of it, but I guess that's how it is. But thank you all for listening to this episode of the Brothers Duel podcast. If there are any other movie franchises or TV shows or whatever you think me and Max should talk about or rank, please comment below. And thank you all for listening. And long live Jigsaw, long live Chris Rock and his performance in Spiral.
And to end the podcast, enjoy this clip of Bobby Dagan screaming at Kale. Shuffle a little to your left.
I was going to say, and to end this podcast, I want you guys to remember one thing. Don't drain my battery watching Twilight, but whatever. I guess is the end. You know, we've gone on for about an hour now, so bye.
Don't drain my battery watching Twilight.